So all of the series that we're going to be talking about have a few things in common. They are ones that I have read at least one book from, ones that I own and plan to continue. So there's some that like I've DNF'd the entire series, so like we're not going to be talking about those, obviously. And these are not all complete series, but we're not going to be talking about like that I need to finish series that are incomplete, that I finished like up until. So like we're not going to talk about, I don't know, I can't think of an example, the Bloodsworn saga. So that only has one book out. I have read that one book. That is not going to be on this list, The Shadow of the Gods, because I cannot read anymore of that series. We're going to talk about books where I can read farther, even if it's not a completed series, that I need to like get to work on. So let's talk about it. I am not gonna grab, I have a lot of these books. I am not grabbing them all down. I'm gonna insert some pretty pictures and hate myself later in editing for this, because I just don't feel like messing up my shelves that much, and I don't feel like putting them away. So this is gonna be fun. First is Ember in the Ashes. I have read the first 2 books. I need to finish it. I own all of the books. I love it. I'm loving this series. And I do plan on actually, this is one of the ones I plan on finishing quite soon. And I'm very excited to get through this one because I love the first 2 books. The next one is the Stormlight Archives. I am reading Oathbringer now, and I need to read Rhythm of War. And then I'll be done and caught up. So hopefully by the end of the year, this one will be off of that list because I'll be caught up. So basically the series I need to be caught up on, not necessarily that I need to finish, because a lot of these are in. Then of course is the Skyward series. I was caught up. Book 3 just came out. I bought book 3, so now I'm not caught up anymore. And I do plan on reading it soon. It'll probably be a little bit before I actually read it, because I want to read the other 2 novellas first, and I have not picked those up. And I'm actually planning to pre-order the like hardback edition that comes out I think in March or May of 3 bind-up novellas, and one of course is like not written, so I might just wait till I get that, read the first 2, then read Cytonic, and then read the other novella, because I think that comes place after it. So we will see, but I do need to get caught up on that at some point. Then there is the Nevermore series. I read the first book. I own 2 and 3, and I don't think book 4 is out yet. I don't even know if book 4 is like announced yet, but I know it's gonna be like a longer series. I just need to finish it, and I need to catch up. I loved the first book. It's like a fun middle grade romp and filled with like magic and whimsy, and I absolutely love it, and I definitely think it's one I'm gonna like keep for my kids, and I need to finish it. The next one is the Daevabad series. I have read books 1 and 2. I need to finish the trilogy. Like I need to finish Empire of Gold. That's another one that's like higher up on the list for me, because like I really loved City of Brass. I really, really liked Kingdom of Copper. And I just need to finish Empire of Gold. Like, I have it. I own it. I just need to finish it. Then we've got the Coven series by R.A. Salvatore. The first book in this is Child of a Mad God. I read this like earlier last year, I think. I absolutely loved this book. I picked up books 2 and 3 in the series and just haven't continued on. I just know that book 2 kind of differs from book 1 quite a bit from what I've heard, and I'm a little nervous about that, but I really liked the writing in the first book, so I'm really excited to see what I feel. But this one isn't one that was like super high up on the list. The next one is the Ash Princess series. I read book 1 and I really liked book 1. I picked up books 2 and 3. They're back there on my shelf. I own the whole trilogy, but I haven't gotten to books 2 and 3 yet. I do plan on it. It's a fun YA series. There is kind of a love triangle, but it's like a very fun, kind of dark YA fantasy series. Like, not much else to say about this. I'm not really talking much about the books because I'm like, this will be like a 20-year long video if I talk too much about any particular book, because there's a lot of series on this list, so sorry. Next up is the Band series by Nicholas Eames. I have read Kings of the Wild, and I'm actually currently reading Bloody Rose, and I'm very much enjoying myself. I'm really enjoying Bloody Rose. It's obviously quite different from the first book. It takes place, I think, 6 years after book 1, and we follow different characters. We follow younger characters, and I believe this one is like 80s music, so I'm loving it. Not very far into it yet though, but so far, so good. Then we've got the Dreamblood duology by N.K. Jemisin. I finished book 1, The Killing Moon, and I'm gonna be reading book 2, I think it's called The Shadowed Sun, in December with V from Books with Vish in her Discord, and I think Angela from Literary Science Alliance is reading it with us, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm loving it. I loved the first book. It's not as much love as like the 5th season, but like it's right under there, right? Like I love it, just not as much. Then we've got Flame in the Mist. I read book 1 earlier this year. It's a really fun YA fantasy. Nothing special, nothing amazing, but it has a trope that I really like, which is like the girl dresses up like the boy and like that Mulan-esque trope. It's a Mulan inspired story, like full stop. And I'm really enjoying it. I have the second book. I just need to get to it. Next up is The Expanse. I read the first book in September. Really enjoyed it. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it because like sci-fi is not my normal thing, but I'm trying to read more sci-fi, and The Expanse was great. It's very much got like that murder mystery feel, that investigation that I love, but it's also in space, and I really enjoyed it. And it's a really long series. I need to read the rest of it eventually. So Saga is the next one, and that is actually a graphic novel series I have over here somewhere. I have read volume 1 and I need to read the rest of the volumes. From what I have heard, they are working on the next one. Like they took a hiatus, the authors did. Took a hiatus and now they're back and working on it. So that makes me very excited to continue on. It's just such a cool fantasy inspired graphic novel about 2 people from different planets that fall in love during a war between their planets and have a baby. And they're on the run. Because why wouldn't they be? Next is All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I read the first book earlier this year. Had such a good time with it. It's like a fun, very Moana vibes, right? Like it literally at one point was like, the sea calls me, and I'm like, see the line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and I'm like, sorry for that. I'm so sorry for that. But like that's all I could hear in my head, like reading this book, but like I really enjoyed it. It was like YA Moana with pirates and mermaids and magics, and I'm here for it. And I really need to read book 2 because it's just a duology. I need to finish book 2. Oh, next is Red Rising. I liked the first book. I did not love it. I liked it. I bought a box set and I have all the books that are currently out. And I need to just read them because I've heard that I'm probably going to like the continuations more. Like I'm going to like book 2 more and 3 more, and then I might actually like the continuations even more. So I'm gonna push through it. It's not that I didn't like it. It was an okay book. Like book 1 was okay, but I want to finish it and see what happens. Next one is Goddess in the Machine, and this was I think Owl Crate book that I got, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I struggled with some stuff with like some language issues, like because one of the POVs was written in this like language for the book, and it was written in his head, so it was written in his dialect, and it was a little difficult to get used to at first, but I really do want to finish out the duology and see what happens. I actually have unhauled the book because I gave it to my niece because I don't really care to own a physical copy of it, but I do want to read the second book, so I'll probably end up picking it up on my Kindle at some point. The next one is The Bone Shard Daughter. I read the first book. Absolutely loved it. I actually have the arc for book 2, but I think book 2 is already out yet. Like I've been bad about my arcs, y'all. Bad about reading my arcs. But I'm planning to get to it very soon, and I'm very excited to finish out, you know, this book because obviously I think it's a trilogy. So this isn't going to be like the last book. It's not going to finish up the series, but it's going to catch me up. Next is Girl of Fire and Thorns by Ray Carson. I read book 1 last year and I picked up the rest of the books. Have not read them yet. I really, really want to. I really liked book 1. And it was definitely like kind of like old school YA fantasy, but like it was different enough that it kept me super interested. And there were some like tropes that I think that Ray Carson subverted really, really well. Like there's things that it's like, okay, this is what you expect to happen, and then they got flipped on their head and changed, and you're like, oh snap, okay. And I like that our main character is not this like bad, strong, badass female. Like she's not that to start with. Like she's the complete opposite of that. She's like mild-tempered and very, you know, like she's not confident in herself. She's very uncomfortable with everything, and I actually really like that because it's more realistic. Next one is Girl of Paper and Fire, and I always want to mix up Girl of Fire and Thorn and Girls of Paper and Fire. Like just the name, like they're so similar, but they came out so far apart from each other and they're not anything alike. Girl of Paper and Fire, I read book 1, book 2 is out, and book 3 I think is coming out soon or just came out. And it's a really good YA fantasy. Like, it's a female-female romance, and these two girls, you know, fighting the patriarchy. And, you know, it's this group of girls in the first book are concubines, not really by choice, to the Demon King, and gotta overthrow some power. And I'm really excited to see where the story goes after the first one. Next is the Lunar Chronicles. I read book 1. That's it. I've only read Cinder. I have all the books. I read Cinder so fast, like, that I know I can read the other books super quickly. I just need to actually do it and get it over with. Because I just keep, like, bypassing, is it Scarlet, the second book? I keep saying I'm gonna read it, and then I keep just, like, picking up other things. Like, I need to really focus on finishing series that I already own. Especially because I already own them. I own all the books. And the last one on this list is The Wheel of Time. I have read the first 2 books. That's it. I own most of them, not all of them. And I own the ones I own are all from like the library book sale. So I got them super cheap. A lot of them are like the old school hardbacks, and I absolutely love them. And I liked book 1 all right. It took me a long time to get through. And then I liked book 2 even better than book 1. Still took me quite a bit of time to read. These are just not quick fly through books. Like, they're very detailed and in depth, and it takes some time to read them, and I just haven't had the time to dedicate to reading this 14 book series, even though I really want to finish it. But you know what? Maybe I'll pick up 2 books next year. You know, like maybe. But I'm not gonna push myself to read them because they are a lot. But I do want to finish reading them, especially since I own most of them. Alright guys, well, that is all the books that I currently own that I need to either finish or like catch up on. So like I said, not all these series are finished. Some of them I just need to catch up until the end. I just really need to be better about finishing what I started and getting there. So hold me accountable this year. Be like, Jess, in 2022, finish your series. Like, that is the goal. Mostly. Alright, well, thanks for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.